This year we have taken the most time out of anyone, but it is the best season yet.
The Stranger Things cast and crew have had to deal with their fair share of incredibly painful prosthetics and costumes over the years, and season 4 is no stranger to that. It's one of the most painful seasons yet. Ready to find out why?
It's a dark, dark season for me.
Number 1. 9 hours in the makeup chair, plus 12 hours of acting, plus an hour and a half back out of makeup. You don't have to be good at math to know Jamie wasn't sleeping. Okay, 9 hours is exaggerating. While it initially took that long, they managed to get it down to 6 hours and 20 minutes with a team of 4, working on Jamie Campbell-Bower non-stop. Jamie donned roughly 25 prosthetics that were glued to his skin every day. And the thing is, they weren't reusable. So they ended up having roughly 25 copies of 25 prosthetics. That's over 600 prosthetic pieces.
It's me underneath the prosthetics, it's my voice, it's me moving.
Barry Gower said, "We would spend the best part of 5 hours just purely gluing the appliances onto his skin. Then we'd have an hour and a half of airbrushing and joining all the dots together with the paintwork and airbrushing veins and blending everything." When Sadie Sink first saw him, she couldn't stop laughing because she was so creeped out and unsettled. The prosthetic was roughly 90% practical. The only thing added in post was those pulsing veins, so it makes sense why it freaked her out. Number 2. Teeny tiny ear holes make for difficult creature acting. Trying to get the voice for Vecna was problematic, thanks to the prosthetics. Jamie Campbell-Bower said, "I was in ADR for the show a couple of weeks ago, and the engineer was like, 'I've got this octave for you.' By that, the engineer meant a voice distorter. Bower's response was, 'Oh no, we don't use that.' The engineer didn't believe him, and so he did the voice. And, so says Bower, the engineer said, 'Right, yep, I've canceled the octave of that, it's off now.' But it was much harder when they were filming versus being in the booth because the suit goes over the ears, and the ear holes are incredibly tiny. It was quite difficult and distorted trying to hear himself speak. Number 3. When will they leave Dacre alone? Poor Dacre Montgomery has been through some of the most horrific prosthetics experiences. He's basically fine, but he has spent his fair share of time in the makeup chair, and season 4 is no different. And we're not gonna lie, having your stomach completely wrapped in prosthetics with red goo dripping down you just does not sound like a fun time. Number 4. That feel when you quite literally work your butt off and they demand you put it back on. David Harbour is no stranger to extreme fluctuations in weight for roles. And Stranger Things brought in the starving prisoner Hopper. So when it came to flashback scenes, Harbour could not escape the weight he burned off and had to carry it around in the form of prosthetics. But you know what? He's proud of his dad bod. Number 5. It has to be seen to be believed. In order to save himself from being murdered by Vecna, Victor Creel gouged out his own eyes. The Gowers team designed the scarred eyelid prosthetics for the character, played by Robert Englund. Having limited access to your vision is enough to drive anybody insane. Number 6. What do you do when you can't use a safe word? Christopher Strand's mouth and eyes were sealed with prosthetics. The crew then drove him to the set and fastened him to the chair. Head of the makeup department, Amy L. Forsyth, said, "He couldn't see. He couldn't speak. All he could do was hear. When we were breaking for lunch, I was like, you better let him know he's done for the day before you call lunch. Because he might just be sitting there thinking you're abandoning him." Not having access to all of your senses can cause unwelcomed reactions from actors, discomfort being the least of your concerns, and things like claustrophobia being high up on the list. So the makeup crew did their best to cater to his situation. Forsyth continued, "You ask them to be very communicative with you on their experience so that you can help make adjustments if need be. No one knows their comfort level like they do. Since Strand had both his eyes and mouth covered, the makeup team only asked yes or no questions to gauge if he was feeling okay." Number 7. Is this what heaven looks like? Because it sure feels a lot like the Upside Down. Wearing white contacts really limits your vision, and so anybody who entered that trance-like state could hardly see a thing. The whole room became a milky white color, and the costume department did their best to prepare the actors for their experience. Forsyth said, "I took a lot of videos of people putting their contacts in for the first time to get the reactions and try to make it a little fun experience for them." Number 8. Did nobody tell Gaten that he should bring sensible clothes camping? While Gaten Matarazzo is a huge fan of his costumes from the series, season 4 being his favorite so far, he can't help but despise just one outfit he's worn over the years, saying, "I have to say, my least favorite look had nothing to do with the design. In fact, it's one of my favorites. But the camp outfit always felt really tight and tiny." He's referencing the Camp Nowhere episode from season 3. Number 9. Would you prefer to be wet or sticky all day? Dacre's dealing with sunburns when he's meant to be pale and is pale when he's meant to have color.
Amy from the hair department had all that fake tan.
This one was a pain for the makeup department because after he'd burned himself filming a pool scene, he had to film the shower scenes as the Mind Flayer and kept slamming his back against the wall, which would take off all the cover-up. And that isn't all. He was completely coated in a layer of sticky lip gloss in order to maintain that wet sheen, which he thinks is better than being wet all day. Number 10. That feel when you have no idea what you're doing, but you have to do it anyways. It reminds us of math class. Dacre wore 33 prosthetic wounds for the post-sauna scene. And, problematically, when Millie Bobby Brown broke her knee, right as the shutdown was lifting, all of his scenes were moved up, meaning there was a rush order on all those prosthetics. The designer had no idea what she was even working with yet, and just created 50 different random wounds, hoping it would work out. They also asked if they wanted Billy to bleed red. Yes, said the director, who changed his mind in a few shots, which ended up being left to the VFX crew to fix in post. Number 11. Masking real wounds with fake ones. Dacre had only so many prosthetics that he didn't even realize he'd bruised and cut himself all over the place. He only noticed after he removed them at the end of the day.
I was covered head to toe in cuts and bruises, and I took all the skin off the top of my toes.
Number 12. Sure, playing a creepy alien zombie monster is cool, in theory. The Demogorgon was played by actor Mark Steger in the first season of Stranger Things. However, it was so uncomfortable to try and maneuver around in, they replaced the real actor with CGI the following season. Number 13. Prosthetics are uncomfortable under the usual circumstances. In season 2, when Billy beats the snot out of Steve, Steve was already feeling a little gooey. The guy was pretty sick, and to make matters worse, he had to have menthol blown into his eyes in order to get the desired look.
No, don't touch it, don't touch it.
His prosthetics included a swollen jaw lump, a cut split lip, and a mixture of cotton and dried blood. Oh, and real snot, apparently. Number 14. White contacts, black contacts, what's next? Will's black contacts made his eyes burn. And despite how warm everything looks on screen, it was actually very cold on set, and Will was not dressed for the weather. Number 15. This is a friendly reminder to wash your face. Nancy Dyer put makeup on to cover up her acne, and that caused more acne. Isn't it ironic? While not necessarily painful, it would play on her self-esteem. Ugh, we feel you, Nancy. All too well. From uncomfortable to irritating to painful to downright unbearable. The Stranger Things gang has experienced it all, huh? Would you rather deal with every single painful thing we mentioned in this list? Or would you rather fight Vecna? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for hanging out with us here at The Things.